All right, the 49ers are on the practice field as I'm recording this video for their Thursday practice. And then later in the day, they'll announce the official injury report, probably have a pretty good idea of where it stands heading into this Week 6 game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And because Kyle Shanahan is not available to speak to the media on Thursday, there will be no real update on how Brock Purdy is coming along, what's going on with Mac Jones, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, or anybody else. But I can tell you what I observed on the practice field on this day. Now, the local media is allowed to watch basically the warm-up stuff before the real practice begins, and then we're kicked out of there as they go through the game plan and the stuff that they're going to implement in the game on Sunday. So, we're not watching practice, but we're getting just a very small slice of what they're doing in what I consider their pre-practice work. And what I saw was very interesting and probably not too encouraging for the 49ers on this particular day. Now, I think we kind of understand at this point that Brock Purdy won't play Sunday. John Lynch, I think, kind of intimated that or strongly suggested that during his radio show on Thursday on KNBR. But the thing that was really caught my eye was how little Mac Jones was throwing the football. Now, Mac Jones has a brace on his left knee. He right now is dealing with a knee injury. That's the posterior cruciate ligament, as well as an oblique strain, which is something that popped up on the injury report on Wednesday. And what I saw was just, some very light tossing early in practice, very light, while Adrian Martinez was the one who was kind of throwing the ball around a little bit more. And then when they went into kind of the individual stuff where the receivers, including Juwan Jennings, out there running routes, it was all Adrian Martinez. So basically, on any throw where a quarterback had to really step into it and fire it, that was Adrian Martinez. So, I don't know what is going to happen or what happened during the actual practice portion. But based on what I was able to observe before practice, it certainly didn't seem like Mac Jones was going to be throwing any full speed routes in practice. It also means that the 49ers have three quarterbacks under their roof right now. Brock Purdy is out with the toe injury. And by the way, I saw him running pre-practice with a member of the 49ers training staff. He and Ricky Pearsall were going through physical therapy, conditioning, what have you. And, Brock Purdy is out there running. He was kind of going, zigzagging, not sprinting by any stretch, but looked like he's doing pretty well. And I think that's a good sign, because if that toe were really bothering him, they probably wouldn't have him doing much at all. And, he didn't look like, hey, ready to go play a football game or anything like that. But just the fact that he was out there running, I think is a positive sign. So it's Brock Purdy, it's Mac Jones, it's Adrian Martinez. Those are the three quarterbacks for the 49ers. And on this day, the only one who looked like he was able to go out and practice and throw the ball like a quarterback should be able to throw the ball is Adrian Martinez. So Mac Jones, it looks like he will be available. I mean, I guess the positive spin for the 49ers, or the positive thing to look at this from if you're a 49ers fan, obviously, is John Lynch on KNBR said that Mac Jones is basically tracking. They think he's on the route to be available and to start Sunday. And I guess the fact that the 49ers haven't added another quarterback, not even to their practice squad at this point, would suggest that, yes, he will be in uniform and be available to play on Sunday. But it's just concerning, I think, if your quarterback isn't able to go out there and rip it on a Wednesday and a Thursday. So just something to keep an eye on as the 49ers head into this weekend. Adrian Martinez, what do we know about him? He's been around. He's played a lot of football in his college career, and even a little bit as in the pros, playing in the UFL. He's the MVP of that league during the regular season. He was the MVP of their championship game. And then he's been with the New York Jets for a couple of training camps, released before the start of this season. I think with a recommendation from Robert Saleh, the 49ers brought him in here after both Tanner Mordecai and Carter Bradley were injured in that final preseason game. So My guess would be, because Adrian Martinez is a dual threat quarterback, that if he were to get into a game, there would be a lot of running, as well as his ability to push the ball down the field. So just something to keep an eye on. I think Mac Jones definitely limited in practice on Thursday. The Friars will release their official injury report on Friday. And so we'll see if he's able to at some point get in a full practice, or if this is just the plan. Take it easy with him on Wednesday and Thursday, and then get him ready to go to be ready on that Sunday, week 6 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Juwan Jennings was out there on the practice field running routes. Definitely an encouraging sign. Ricky Pearsall not back. Wouldn't expect Pearsall to play in this game, but we'll see. Another encouraging sign for the 49ers, Alfred Collins was back on the practice field, and saw him with a brace on his right knee going through some of the pre-practice work under the direction of Chris Koceric, getting off the ball, that sort of thing. So it looks like Alfred Collins, who did not practice on Wednesday after sustaining the knee injury Thursday night against the Rams, looks like he's tracking toward being able to play. So those were the two guys, Collins and Pearsall, who did not practice on Wednesday, who I saw out there on the practice field on Thursday. So certainly encouraging signs for those guys. And then all the guys who were limited on Wednesday also saw them back out there on Thursday. Don't know if any of these guys are full on practice, full participation, but Mac Jones, Kalia Davis, CJ West, Kevin Givens, Upton Stout, all those guys were back out there at practice on Thursday. Kalia Davis, he has a left hand club on his left hand that he's practicing with. CJ West, his right thumb, he's got something on that. So a couple of surgeries, recent surgeries for the defensive linemen. Kevin Givens, of course, coming back off of the injured reserve list with a pectoral injury. He appears to be tracking toward being a really close to a return to the practice, to the playing field, and being able to take part in a 49ers defensive line rotation. Also, Malik Mustafa back out there as he returns from the knee surgery, where the graft got on his ACL from a previous surgery got detached in the final game of the regular season. So he was back out there, and we'll kind of try to keep you posted as much as we can on what his role will be. But he said he's full go, and kind of funny on Thursday when asked about his mindset, and does he still play with that reckless abandon? What's he going to be like when he gets back out there on the field? And he kind of smiled and he said, "I didn't have brain surgery," so intimating that his mindset hasn't changed. He'll still be the same kind of player. So that's the 49ers injury report. Did not see, I mentioned Pearsall was out there just running, rehabbing, physical therapy. Didn't see Jordan Watkins. He won't be available for this game. Did not see Robert Beal either, and did not see Yetur Gross-Matos. And so Gross-Matos is a guy, starting caliber player, very much like Michael Williams in the sense that he's a base down defensive end, moves inside to rush the passer in those nickel situations. That hamstring, I think, is going to keep him out for a period of time. So look for the 49ers to elevate somebody from the practice squad. It could be Travis Gibson again. And by the way, if you didn't check out my story on Travis Gibson, I wrote about him at NBCSportsBayArea.com on Wednesday morning. You can just Google, whatever, my name and Travis Gibson, and should be able to pop up. Very interesting story. A guy who has been in the NFL now for 6 years. He had a really good season with the Bears back in 2021 when he registered 7 sacks, but then just hasn't been able to get back there. He left the Bears for, who did he go to? Jacksonville, gets traded to Seattle, and just hasn't really found his niche. He had a scheduled tryout for the 49ers with the 49ers in late July, and it just happened to be on the same day that his beloved grandfather in Dallas passed away. So he had to miss the funeral in order to go through a workout with the 49ers. And, the way he looks at it was, it was very difficult to do that. But his grandfather was a big influence on him and always talked football with him and taught him everything he knows about football. And it was just a really difficult time, but he knew his grandfather would have wanted him to go to that workout. But then, he comes back home to Dallas without a contract offer. He told me this story. He was over at Great America, which is really close to the 49ers practice facility. And he said he just wanted to kind of reconnect with his childhood, ride a roller coaster. And as he's riding the roller coaster and is over at Great America, he looks at Levi Stadium and just had this feeling like, I'm going to be back here. And then 2 weeks later, the 49ers called. They brought him in for training camp. He made a good enough impression that when, he didn't make the 53-man roster, they brought him back to the practice squad, and he was elevated for that game against the Rams on Thursday night. And guess what? His very first snap as a member of the 49ers, he lined up over on the right defensive end and ends up recovering a fumble basically across the field on that pitch, that Stafford to Blake Corum pitch that was mishandled, and he picks up the fumble recovery. So kind of a fun story, interesting story. It kind of gives you a slice of life, and it kind of makes you wonder, always as somebody who's been around the locker room, it's amazing. Everybody has a story to tell in that locker room. Heck, everybody has a story to tell who's watching this video. And it's really neat for me to be able to find that story, in this case with Trevis Gipson, and be able to write about it and learn a little bit more about the people I cover. So my point being, Trevis Gipson might get the call up again with the 49ers going to Tampa Bay, although it does look like Kalia Davis probably won't miss any time, and also Kevin Givens could be available to pick up in that defensive line rotation. But the 49ers still need guys who can rush the quarterback off the edge, and that's where Gipson potentially could get the elevation again from the practice squad. So there's the quick rundown. Quarterbacks, only one of them out there throwing the ball with much velocity. That was Adrian Martinez, and probably will know a lot more about where the 49ers stand at the quarterback situation and how they intend to go after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. We'll know more about that on Friday when Kyle Shanahan meets with the media and also provides the official injury report game status report before the team jumps on a plane, jumps on the charter, and travels to Tampa, Florida. One other thing to note is that when the 49ers announced early in the season that they'd be wearing their white uniforms at Tampa Bay, they're actually going to be wearing their red jerseys. The offense, you can always tell which color jerseys the team is going to wear by how they practice. And Wednesday and Thursday, 49ers offense was wearing their red jerseys, which kind of threw me for a loop because the announcement was made a few months ago, or whatever, a month or so ago, that 49ers would be wearing their white jerseys. Apparently, there's a miscommunication between the Buccaneers and the 49ers. 49ers will be wearing their red uniforms on Sunday against Tampa Bay. So is that the first time? It's the first time they will have worn the red uniforms all season, right? Yeah, I think I think that's the case. So there you have it, folks. That's the rundown from Santa Clara. Thanks so much for watching, and that is it for now.